Good morning, student friends. Today we will start unit 2, that is a green that is molding processes. Up till now we have seen all the videos in which we have completed the unit first, that is casting process. Now we will start today onwards unit second, that is molding process. Now first is green sand molding. I told you green sand is nothing but sand which contains the moisture. Green does not indicate the color of the molding sand. Green indicates the state or condition of the molding sand, that is nothing but if the silica sand contains the water particle or moisture, that sand is called as a green sand. Green sand molding is a process of making mold with the three essential ingredients like a sand, clay and water. I told you in the last to last lecture that there are three basic ingredients of the green sand molding, that is silica sand 80 to 85%, binding material or clay or bentonite, that is 15 to 20%, and moisture content is 5 to 10%. All these are the basic ingredients, means they are essential to form the green molding sand. The remaining things, that is additives, means if I want to improve the permeability of the molding sand, I have to add the wood floor or the cereal hulls I have to add inside the molding sand to improve its property, that is permeability. If I have to improve the refractoriness of the molding sand, I have to add the coal powder inside the molding sand. If I have to improve the strength of the molding sand, I have to add dextrine or molasses inside the molding sand. All these are the additives. They are added inside the green molding sand, maximum up to 2% of its weight to the weight of silica sand. Maximum 2% to the weight of silica sand they are added in a silica sand to improve few of the properties. It is known as green sand as the mold is used in a green condition without drying. Means in the video also we have seen, after making the mold cavity, that mold cavity contains a moisture, and in that moistured condition of the mold cavity only we are pouring the molten metal. Means without a drying of that mold cavity we are carrying out the pouring operation. That is the feature of this green sand molding. The term green denotes the presence of moisture in the molding sand. Green is not the color of the molding sand, but if moisture is present inside the molding sand, that sand is called as a green sand. It is naturally moist sand used for molding. Naturally some amount of moisture is present inside the green molding sand. Again, some of the binding material is also present. That natural molding sand also we can use to prepare the mold cavity. Now this is the percentage of basic ingredients, that is it contains 15 to 20% of the clay in a silica sand, 80 to 85% of silica sand, and 5 to 10% of the water. Water is also called as moisture, and clay is also called as a binding material as well as bentonite. And generally we are using silica sand because it is naturally available. Other types of sands are also present in the university, in the industry. These are called as zircon sand, chromite sand. All these are the various types of sand. The function of binding material and water is to provide the required bond for the green sand. Only because of presence of clay and water, the sand particles are going to stick to each other and they will take the shape of mold cavity, but its percentage is very hard and fast. If clay percentage increases, more efforts we have to apply to break the mold after solidification of the metal. If clay percentage is less, then it will not take the shape of the mold cavity. Again, same thing is applied with the moisture. Only 5 to 10% of moisture is required for proper formation of the bond. If percentage of moisture increases, material may become a plastic and its flowability will increase and it will not retain the shape of mold cavity. And again, if water percentage is less, then also it will not provide the proper bond strength. That's why we have to stick to the percentage of moisture as well as binding material. This green sand is fine sand, soft, it is light and powerful. Advantages of green molding sand we will see. Whatever metals present in the universe, they can be cast by this method. Almost all the metals can be cast by this method. Pattern costs are relatively low because we are using those pattern for the mass production. As per as this green sand molding is concerned, there is no Limitation with respect to size of casting and type of metal or alloy to be used. Disadvantage is that surface finish of the casting obtained by this process is not good. Most of the times oxide scales and adhering sand, those two surface defects are present on the casting surface if it is manufactured by green sand molding. Machining is often required to achieve the finished product. For that purpose, machining allowance is given on the surface of pattern. 2 to 3 material is left on the surface of casting, which is removed by the secondary machining, and extra material kept on the surface of casting to remove by, from the secondary machining. That extra material is called as a machining allowance. Generally, machining is required in case of green sand molding technique to achieve the final finish, to improve the surface finish as well as to achieve the desired accuracy. That is the purpose of secondary machining. Now, mold in this sand are known as green sand molds. Green means moisture is present in that molds. This green sand molding does not need any kind of baking before pouring of the molten metal. Moisture remove करण्याची गरज नाही from the molds. These are used for producing simple, small and medium sized casting. That is the application of this green molding sand. Again, molten metal is poured inside the mold cavity in green condition only. Means in the presence of moisture only we are carrying out pouring of the molten metal inside the mold cavity. That is the feature of this green molding sand. Now we will see the ingredients, that is again repeated. Base sand, or also called as a silica sand. Binder is also called as a bentonite, or it is in the form of powder, or it is like a clay. That's why different names are present for that binder. And moisture, that is a water. Base sand, generally we are using silica sand because it is most commonly used base sand. It is naturally available at many locations, so sources are more for the silica sand. Other base sands which are made in the industry, these are zircon sand, chromite sand, or olivine sand. They are also used, but rarely they are used, but mostly we are using silica sand to prepare the green sand. Binder, there are different types of binders: bentonite, kaolinite, limonite, but mostly we are using bentonite because it will absorb the moisture and which increases its bonding power. Clay binders are most commonly used binding agents mixed with the molding sand to provide the strength. The most popular clay are kaolinite, bentonite and limonite, but mostly we are using bentonite because it is available and it has improved properties as compared to kaolinite and limonite. This clay is only activated inside the green molding sand with the presence of required amount of moisture. Clay acquires its bonding action only in the presence of required amount of moisture. Too little water will not develop proper strength, and too much water will increase its plasticity. That is the requirement of moisture. Clay acquires its bonding action only in the presence of required amount of moisture. Too little water will not develop proper strength, and too much will increase its plasticity. This is the typical composition. In the first chapter also we have seen silica sand 80 to 85%, bentonite clay or binding material 15 to 20%, and water or the moisture is 5 to 10%. This is the typical composition of the green molding sand. Again, in the last video we have seen there are two techniques: hand molding and machine molding, or during the Google Meet discussion also I told you, if ramming of the molding sand on the surface of pattern is carried out by hand, then it is called as hand molding. And for ramming of the molding sand on the surface of pattern, if I am using some types of machines, then it is called as a machine molding. Now this bench molding is carried out on a bench at a suitable height. Metallic bench are present in the industry, and on the suitable height means whether operator can feel very easy to operate those flask or the machine. It is kept at a suitable height. Small and light molds are handled by using bench molding. Both green and dry condition molds are made. Ferrous and non-ferrous metals castings are made on the bench molds. If casting size is such that I can mount it, or pattern size is such that I can mount it on the bench and I can handle it suitably, at that time I am using a bench molding. And floor molding means molding is carried out on the floor, earth floor when size of mold is large. Medium and large castings are made by this process, suitable for both green and dry sand molding. Green sand molding means presence of silica sand binding material and moisture, that is green sand molding. And dry sand mold means silica sand along with sodium silicate liquid base binder with a CO2 gas, that is called as a dry sand molds. Both these bench molding and floor molding, they are suitable for green and dry sand molds. Now this pit molding is it is suitable for very big castings which cannot be made in a flask and are molded in a pits dug on the floor. Pit म्हणजे खड्डा, dug म्हणजे खोदणे. On the floor we are digging out a very big pit because casting size is very big. It is not possible to mount on the bench as well as not possible to carry out its molding operation on the floor. At that time that castings are suitably handled, or that patterns are suitably handled by using a pit molding. Pit is a square or rectangular in cross section. Mold has its drag part in the pit and separate cope is rammed and is used above the drag. Cope and drag, they are separate from each other. Drag part is dig inside the pit, and molding operation of the drag part is carried out in the pit only, and the cope part is rammed separately, and after removal of the pattern they are joined together to form a complete mold cavity, that is called as a pit molding. Machine molding means sand ramming, rolling of the mold over means mold ulta करणे. Sand ramming means application of pressure on the molding sand, withdrawing the pattern. All those things are done by the machine. This is much faster, more efficient, identical and consistent castings we can produce by the machine molding. Better quality at lower cost, but it is suitable for the mass production as we are investing money to purchase the machines. That's why it is only suitable for the mass production. Here we will end the first video of the second chapter.